in Kutaba, West region of the country. Viewers, you are welcome to the 6 p.m. Prime News of Akamdis television in the Queen's language. We begin right away with the headlines. The Prime Minister, head of government, Chief Dr. John Gute, has launched subventions for the fight against HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria. The ceremony took place at Hilton Hotel, attended by stakeholders involved in the fight against diseases. A scientific seminar on prostate cancer began with an open door at the beginning of this week at the urology service of the Yaoundé Central Hospital. The launching went on with screening and diagnosis of prostate cancer. The National Women Handball Squad, finalists of the just ended 24th edition of the African Handball Competition, are presently receiving state recognition medals for their brilliant performance during the competition at the Yaoundé Water Sports Complex. More in some seconds to come. Thanks for joining us during the 6 p.m. Prime News of Akamdis television. We begin with something very interesting. It is now 46 years that His Excellency President Paul Biya was appointed as the Prime Minister of the United Republic of Cameroon. It is now over 4 decades that have come and gone. Our reporter, Tabby Clarkson, takes us down the lanes and paints a profile of His Excellency President Paul Biya. Let's listen to Tabby Clarkson.
It was on June the 30th, 1975 that President Paul Biya was appointed Prime Minister by late President Amadou Ahidjo. Paul Biya the boy attended primary mission schools in Edeya and Akono before coming to Lycée Général Leclerc in 1954, where he obtained his baccalaureate certificate. He then went to France, where he studied in schools like Lycée Louis de Paris or again the University of Sorbonne. Upon his arrival home in 1962, Paul Biya was appointed Chargé de Mission at the Presidency of the Republic. In 1964, he was made Director of Cabinet in the Ministry of National Education, Youth Affairs and Culture. In 1967, he became Director of the Civil Cabinet at the Presidency of the Republic. In 1968, he was appointed Minister Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic. In 1970, he was made Minister of State, Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic. On June the 30th, he was appointed Prime Minister of Cameroon. In 1979, a law made him the Prime Minister, the constitutional successor of the President of the Republic. Apart from Paul Biya, the Grand Master of National Orders, during the days of the Federal Republic, other prime ministers existed in East Cameroon: Charles Asale, Vincent de Paul Ahanda, and Simon Pierre Chungi. In West Cameroon, we had John Go Foncha, Augustine Gomjoa, and Solomon Tandeng Muna. President Paul Biya was the first prime minister of a United Republic of Cameroon, and that was June the 30th, 1975.
We now talk health, where an open door on prostate cancer was launched at the beginning of this week at the urology unit of the Yaoundé Central Hospital. The population was sensitized on the importance of early screening and diagnosis. Ruth Foyong in the following report says obesity, genetic cancer are some of the illnesses related to prostate cancer. Let's listen to Ruth Foyong in the following report.
It is a malignant disease which progresses very slowly and which depends on the hormones. It easily gets hold of people of the older ages. It may have local or remote repercussions. A classification exists according to the location, meaning according to the volume of the prostate tissue which is affected. At this moment, an association with secondary localization at a distance or remote area, which are called metaphors or ganglion. Studies carried out by professionals have demonstrated the natural history of the prostate and its external diseases as a risk factor for prostate cancer, obesity, tobacco consumption, cancer, which enters the familial and genetic factor. As from 67 to 68 years, you need to be aware of prostate cancer, which attacks young people and is often genetically related. Moderate sexual activity is also recommended to reduce reduce the risk of cancer. Having normal sexual intercourse between 3 to 5 times every week, at least 18 to 20 times a month, without forgetting that men develop andropause, which is the equivalent of menopause. Free sensitization and screening campaigns are thus organized for diagnosis of young people on prostate cancer risks.
We continue with health, where the Prime Minister, head of government, Chief Dr. John Goodey, has launched subventions for the fight against HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria. The ceremony was highly attended at the Hilton Hotel by some stakeholders. The president of the health consultancy spoke to the press. Let's listen to the president in the following excerpt.
And that is why it is called NFM3, because we have had NFM1, NFM2, and this is now NFM3. NFM means new funding model, because we have had other funding which was not in the new funding model. The new funding model is more strategic and more impactful and more inclusive. So that is why it is the new funding model, the change from the old one that we had. What is going to change in the new funding model is that it's very inclusive. It has a strong implication of the civil society. It has this new anchorage of the CCM at the Prime Minister's office. It has the interministerial connection with different related ministries are implicated in it.
A two-day workshop on digitalization of cities and communities has ended this day in the Yaoundé City Hall. The ceremony was chaired by the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, George Elanga Obam. Geraldine Nasi tells us more in the following report.
A workshop under the theme Digital Technology for an Inclusive and Sustainable City that began on Tuesday, June 29th, ended this Wednesday, June 30th at the Yaoundé City Hall. The workshop resulted to a strategic partnership between the International Association of French-speaking mayors and the European Union, with its main objective, the emergence of a space for exchange, mutual aid, and sharing of actors for the innovation of ecosystems for the different cities of network. It involves specifically in supporting cities and young entrepreneurs in putting in place solutions and deployment for startups.
Nous avons été mis à la
put in page this tool of the 21st century, which is the internet, and digitalization of all the opportunities that it offers to our town in order to fully enter into the 21st century.
5 workshops were set up, each with a subject recommendation and a proposed plan of action. Workshop 1 had as theme Technology, a potential tax niche for CTDs. Workshop 2 was devoted in the contribution of digital technology in risk and disaster management. Workshop 3 had as subject the contribution of digital technology in the management of green heritage. Workshop 4 worked on digital technology and handicapped, while Workshop 5 had as theme the city and female leadership.
Nous pouvons facilement capter les financements.
We can easily have the finances and emulate the experience of other people. That is what is really doing good to the council. It is a great opportunity of development which started today from the base, most especially in the villages. It constitutes a great advantage for us.
Constitue un grand avantage pour nous.
Nevertheless, one can say the ceremony was a success as the workshop was fruitful and contributions excellent.
The Minister of Youth and Civic Education, alongside his collaborators, have held a biannual evaluation meeting on a 3-year youth plan. The ceremony was crowned with the solemn handling of rolling stocks to the operational technical unit. Geraldine Nase once more.
The biannual internal evaluation meeting of the 3-year Special Youth Plan was held this Tuesday, June 29, 2021, an initiative that was instructed on February 10, 2016 by the Head of State, His Excellency Paul Biya, during his address to the youth, to remain faithful to his constant commitment to always place youth at the center of his concerns.
So it means that our collaborators need more means for transportation to go and meet young people where they are and not waiting them in their centers and their offices. That's the approach of mobile mass animation teams that we deploy all over the national territory to sensitize young people, to take care of them and inform them, and that's the follow-up of this 3-year special youth plan.
The government strategy aimed at curbing precariousness among youth and promoting their contribution to economic growth by supporting the creation of businesses and decent jobs in 4 priority areas such as agriculture, industry and craft, digital economy and technological innovation.
We are satisfied with the level of implementation of this 3-year special youth plan, despite the context, you know, of insecurity and COVID-19 that had impacted negatively the implementation. You know, within the 3 axes of the plan, we are satisfied that the first one concerning the National Youth Observatory is operational.
The ceremony was coupled with the solemn handing over of rolling stock to operational technical units, a way to allow them to develop in value chains, in interdependence, and to contribute to the sustainable economic growth of Cameroon.
If you are just joining, you're watching the 6 p.m. Prime News of Akamdi's television. Over 50 men and women in Garoua have succeeded to go through a 2-day course in strengthening their capacities in the agricultural sector. The ceremony was chaired by the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Gabriel Bairobi. Join us.
The closing ceremony of a workshop who have been done with the young people, young women, young boys, and some other farmers in techniques of agriculture and how to mitigate the negative impact of climate change, how to improve the productivity and the income in agriculture.
This comes as a golden opportunity to remind the graduates of His Excellency President Paul Biya's concern on youth employment, especially in the agricultural sector, that is a cornerstone
and urge them to walk along the Benue River in the downland to produce, like tomatoes, cabbages, and other fruits.
All coming from 5 districts of the Lamidat of Garoua, the inputs, support from the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Gabriel Bairobi, and the 2 tractors with both the agricultural sector. Other trainings have been programmed for other youths who wish to invest in agricultural entrepreneurship. This will certainly increase food productivity for the population of the northern part of the country and Cameroon as a whole. We now take you in the world of sport, this time with a cover shot where the National Women Handball Squad finalists at the just ended 24th edition of the African Handball Competition are presently receiving state recognition medals for their brilliant performance during the competition. Despite their defeat, our girls have qualified for the World Handball Championship. The ceremony at the Wada Sports Complex is presided by the Sports Minister, Narcisse Moile Kombi. And now out of the country, about 100 people have lost their lives in Canada due to the harsh climate change. This has been attributed to Canada's unreadiness to combat climate change that has affected so many sectors in that part of the world. Let's listen to reports in the following.
Dozens of people have died in Canada amid an unprecedented heat wave that has smashed temperature records. Police in the Vancouver area have responded to more than 130 sudden deaths since Friday. Most were elderly or had underlying health conditions, with heat often a contributing factor. Canada broke its temperature record for a third straight day on Tuesday in Lytton, British Columbia. The U.S. Northwest has also seen record highs and a number of fatalities. Experts say climate change is expected to increase the frequency of extreme weather events such as heat waves. However, linking any single event to global warming is complicated. The heat over western parts of Canada and the U.S. has been caused by a dome of static high pressure, hot air stretching from California to the Arctic territories. Temperatures have been easing in coastal areas, but there is not much respite for inland regions. Before Sunday, temperatures in Canada had never passed 45 degrees Celsius. British Columbia Premier John Horgan said the hottest week the province had ever experienced had led to disastrous consequences for families and for communities. The number of heat-related fatalities is likely to rise as some areas say they have responded to sudden death incidents but have yet to collect the numbers. In Vancouver alone, heat is believed to have been a contributing factor in the unexpected death of 65 people since Friday. Many homes in British Columbia do not have air conditioning as temperatures are usually far milder during the summer months. Hotels seem to be sold out as people flocked there for air conditioning, adding, "I've never seen anything like this. I hope it never becomes like this ever again." The country's weather service, Environment Canada, has issued heat warnings for the provinces of British Columbia and Alberta, along with areas of Saskatchewan, the Northwest Territories, and Manitoba. Firefighters were extremely concerned at the possibilities of wildfires possibly sparked by thunderstorms that could occur as the weather pattern changes.
Dear televiewers, we have come to the end of our English Prime News over Camdi's television. Here are the headlines. The Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. John Gutte, has launched subventions for the fight against HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria. The ceremony took place at Hilton Hotel, attended by stakeholders involved in the fight against diseases. A scientific seminar on prostate cancer began with an open door at the beginning of this week at the Urology Service of the Yaoundé Central Hospital. The launching went on with screening and diagnosis of prostate cancer. The National Women Handball Squad, finalists of the JOS and the 24th edition of the African Handball Competition, are presently receiving state recognition medals for their brilliant performance during the competition at the Yaoundé Wada Sports Complex. Thanks very much for being there. At 8 p.m. Desiree Bune will be